want to touch on the situation that has transpired between Candace Owens and the people behind the scenes at the Daily Wire. But I want to address this on a more wide scale. I want to address this in the sense of what is wrong with our country and identifying the people who are conducting this orchestra of destruction in our country. The other day I was watching an interview that she had with a rabbi, and it became very obvious to me the cognitive dissonance that many of these people hold. There's nothing that the dude said made any sense, but it was very evident that he wanted to play a victim. There's something that these people always do. One of them is they hide behind that event that took place during the Second World Conflict, supposedly at the hands of the man with the funny mustache. And they also cite his name in a weaponized fashion. If they call you by his name, then that's really the ultimate accusation of being an evil person. And if you only know the Western version of history, if you only know the propaganda that we've been fed in this country, then you believe those stories, and you also believe that we should have a blind allegiance to Israel because of their roots in Christianity and our founding as a Christian nation. I don't subscribe to any of that. I was raised by truly educated people who were kind enough to push back when I came home and tried to show that I paid attention in class, and I shared the narratives that we were being taught in school. Many times the pushback didn't make sense because the consensus was when you learn things at school, you take for granted that you're being taught reality and truth, and that becomes the ideological lens that you view your country and your world and the history of your country in the world. That's the way we are. And so it's understandable to see why so many people have a blind allegiance to Israel in this conflict, this thing that ended up being the chasm that couldn't be crossed with Candace. But I think that what has happened and who the players in this game are, I think it's very telling, and it gives us a real good indication about where we should be putting our energy in correcting the ship in our country. Now, I want to give you a couple examples, and I want you to imagine who you think I'm talking about. A country that was once based in morality, that was held together by love of country, love of God, love of family, strong industrial base, beautiful architecture, and during hard times, during times of change, this country is inundated with transformers being normalized, pedos being normalized, prostitution being legalized, and for all intents and purpose, this place has gone from being a place that was based in morality to a place that resembles Sodom and Gomorrah and Babylon. Who do you think I'm talking about when I speak of that? If you say the United States, you wouldn't be wrong, because that's exactly where we are today. We have gone from being a nation that would criticize and shame people for doing things that were sinful and disgusting, and now teachers are propagating these same disgusting abominations to our children in elementary school. So you wouldn't be wrong in making that assessment. But that's not the country that I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about in this reference is Germany in the late 30s. You see, we're taught a narrative that the man with the funny mustache ceded power from the people who were running the country in Germany, and he immediately went on a campaign against the Jewish people of that nation because they were sitting there minding their own business, and he just hated them because who they were. If you believe that, if that was in fact the truth, then he would be everything that we're told that he was. But that's not the way that things happen. And the truth of the matter is, everything that Germany was going through was the same thing that other nations, as a matter of fact, every nation where these people had ceded power and had gained the ability to destroy the nation, is exactly what they did. And in Germany, once they got foothold, they turned Berlin into what they called Babylon of Europe. Anything went there. You could purchase anything you wanted, any depraved sin that you wanted to engage in. It was all systems go there. And it changed Germany from a country with strong men that were willing to stand up for their families and their country, to these pathetic losers that only cared about gratifying their base lizard brain desires. And so after the First World Conflict, the dude with the funny mustache saw what his country was falling into, and he vowed to set it straight. And once he ceded power, he started changing regulations and laws to do away with the depravity and sickness that was infused upon Germans. And in doing so, he got the retaliation. And so these powerful people, they sent word out to their brothers and sisters across the world to boycott everything that came from Germany. And so Germany had been basically punished to the point where they destroyed the country. They destroyed all of their ability to move forward in the world. And what their main mistake was, the biggest error that the man with the funny mustache made, was he found a way to get out of that banking system and made Germany prosperous without the help of these bankers. And so when the world wanted to turn their guns on someone, all of the power brokers, they turned the world against this man. The fat man came from Germany, from Europe, from England, and basically told the man with the funny mustache that he didn't have any interest in peace, and that they were going to take Germany to war. And so that's what happened. They kicked the tiger, and it set off. Now, I'm not for one second saying that doing anything vile to innocent women and children is justified. But this belief system that he did things to totally innocent people, there was no cause for anyone to be angry with those people, is an absolute lie. And there's a reason why they've been violently expelled from everywhere else that they were up to that point, and everyone was trying to figure out what to do with them. And so this narrative that we're taught is the one that the victors got to write, because they won that conflict. America and Russia together, they bailed Europe out, and that conflict was won. And so they get to tell us what the truth is, but it's not the truth that we're taught. And so when you look at the world today, when you look at America today, the same people who orchestrated the destruction of Berlin prior to the Second World Conflict, they're the same bloodline that control Hollywood, control our media, control our education system now. Everything that we rely on for truth it's been taken over by the same group of people who wish to destroy everyone who's not them. To these people, we're all Gentiles, we're all animals, we're all barbarians. The only people that they care about are themselves, and you could see that very clearly with Ben Shapiro's whining and crying and insisting that the United States back Israel when his little punk ass ain't willing to go front line of war. He's not going to go take any risk with his own life for the things that he believes so staunchly for. But what's more is the hypocrisy of the Daily Wire and the people that are in charge there, the nerve to say that they're free speech advocates and they care about America. They care about what their controllers tell them to. They care about what the power brokers tell them to. And that's very obvious in getting rid of one of the most popular people on the internet. and definitely one of the most popular people on that platform. But there's so many divisions in our country today, so many factions, from those who cry racial fouls, the alphabet community, everyone who feels like they have a movement, a cause, are all useful idiots used by this group to destroy a nation. Women have been destroyed by believing that sexual promiscuity is liberation. They have been destroyed by believing that the greatest gift that they could possibly have, a child in their womb, it's their right to eradicate that child in the womb. Families have been destroyed. Our children are being destroyed in school. And all of these things that are destroying us, all these movements, all these causes, all these weak, mentally deranged people that are allowed to run free in the asylum and destroy everything that's made us strong, they're all branches of the same tree. They all come from the same think tank, from the Tavistock Institute. That there's historical record of where these ideas come from. The Frankfurt School's another one. And all of these people are cut from a certain cloth. Now, I'm not saying that all of these people are a certain way, just like all black people aren't in support of the St. Floyd people that tore up our country. All of everybody isn't the same. But all of these people that wish to destroy our country, all of these people who support these movements, these movements that are mostly peaceful but cause damage and cause people to lose their lives, this is all part of a play. All these people are being used as useful idiots by the same people who used the same playbook to destroy Germany. And now we're headed to the same place. Our country is weak. Our boys are cowards. Women are being duped up on the street and nobody's coming to save them. And realistically, probably nobody should, because for the past 50, 60 years, men and boys have been told that they're worthless, that they're not needed anymore. This play has worked to destroy men's incentive to try to work and to stand up and protect. We have lost our way completely, and it's all been by design. The foolish error that people are making is believing that other Americans, people of another color, people that have a different religious view or a different ideological view of life, these people are your problem. The idea that you think that these people are the problem is the problem, because we all bring upon ourselves what we experience in life. Is there racism? Absolutely. We look at people's race, but it's more about their class. It's more about their economic stage in life, and not so much their color. It's who you are. It's the content of your character. It's not the color of your skin. And anybody who judges people according to the color of their skin, or believes that people are judging them according to this, they're just dumb. They're just dumb people. Because most of the time, if people are judging you, it's because of what you're doing, not because what you look like. It's not because they look at you and say, oh, this is because he's black or Mexican or something. It's because you're a dumbass. That's the way it normally is. But when everybody that you hang around with that looks like you is a dumbass, it's easy to conflict that with the truth that you're all just acting like morons. But what we need to do right now in this country, we are at a point where we can either revive ourselves and come out better for this, or we will fall into destruction. We will fall into these holes that they want us in, where we're destroying one another. That's the way that these cowards move, because this faction of people are weak, flimsy spine cowards, but they have power with their intellect. They have power with their influence. And so instead of doing it directly with bullets and bombs, with physical aggression, they stoke the flames with these causes, with these movements. They fund them, they propagate them, and they've infiltrated our schools and every one of our institutions, and that's why we have this craziness. Now, I'm not anti anyone, and I won't accept the label, because I've got views that are contrasting with the popular narrative, the prescribed narrative, that we're supposed to have blind allegiance to these people. But my question To anyone who feels like we're supposed to back these people up and somehow it's different because Israel is retaliating, you know, they're doing what they're doing against the Palestinians because they have the right. They've tried to move them, they've tried to reason with them, they've tried everything they can, and now it's just scorched earth. They're going to eradicate them from the planet so they can finally be done with them. If we're going to play that, if we're going to run that route, if we're going to say that that's okay, then we must be willing to take away the stone wall of what happened during the Second World Conflict. Because if the people of Israel are justified because the way they feel about the Palestinians, then we have to say that the man with the funny mustache was justified in the way that he felt about those people because of what they did to his country and to his people. I'm not willing to say either of those things, but that's the truth. And that's the one thing that you can't do with this group of people is speak the truth. You can't speak the truth about what they do. You can't speak the truth about who they are. You can't speak about what they've done. You're supposed to merely swallow the pill and believe that that's God's chosen people and they can do whatever it is that they feel justified in doing. I don't agree with that sentiment. I agree with what Candace says. Innocent women and children being just bombed to nothing is wrong. As a Christian man, I believe that that's wrong. It's time for Americans to bridge this gap, to reach across this divide and grab one another's hands, black and white. Those of us who love our country, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you're an American, you're an American. I'm an American. The color of my skin is inconsequential. I don't judge myself like that, and I don't accept the judgment of anyone who is stupid enough to think that they're going to make an assessment of who I am based on the tone of my skin. We have big problems in this country, but one thing that I'm certain of is we're not each other's problem. We're all Americans. And if we could ever get back to that sentiment, then we have a chance of making this country the greatest country on this planet again. But if not, we will fall. We are teetering on that right now. But it's gonna come down to what the men do in this country. The men who love family, who love God, and who think America is the greatest nation in this world. It's gonna be those men, not the president. It's gonna be we the people. But before we can do that, we need to take the target off of one another's backs. We need to realize that our culture has been moved the way that it has because the propagation that's been done through the media, through our music, through television and movies. All of these things they've been penetrated by Satan. And that's why everything that's being pushed as normal, as the new way America's supposed to be, is purely satanic. I support Candace Owens 100%, and I believe that what they did to her was wrong. But I also believe that it was one of the best things possible for America, especially Christians. Christians need to wake up. They need to do away with this feminized, androgynous, weak Jesus that we've been fed and get like the dude who flipped over the table of those coin changers, the people that were defiling his father's house, because they're defiling their father's house right here in this nation. It's going to be up to us to get this right, or we will fall just like Rome did, just like Germany did, just like everybody does who turns their back on God.